Okay, we are live. So, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I'm joined by Jian from Mysten Labs. He is a developer on the smart contracts team there at Mysten, and he is also the main engineer for DeepBook integrations and anything really that pertains to DeepBook. So, without further ado, I'd give the stage to Jian, and he can talk about DeepBook. In my opinion, one of Swee's most promising primitives, as well as a primitive that developers can use like right now to really kickstart their decks or kickstart any DeFi application. So yeah, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jian, and I want to tell you guys a little bit about DeepBook and the advantages of building with DeepBook on Sui. So I want to dive into what is DeepBook exactly, and what is an order book, and then some technical details on how one could use DeepBook with TypeScript, and then also some potential projects or integrations that I've talked with teams about, or things that we are considering doing at Mysten. Um, I think you can see below in this code, you can follow along and read the DeepBook source code directly under the Sui framework in GitHub. And then for my examples, you can follow along with the Mysten Labs Hacker House examples. So basically, what is DeepBook? It's a fully on-chain order book that lives on the address DEE9. Most of the 0x is shorthanded. Addresses on Sui are all pertinent packages to the Sui framework. And what this means is we'll go into more of a detail of what an order book is, but the packages that are underneath DEE9 are basically the central limit order book, which manages the matching of orders, sending orders, all of that stuff. We use a Kitbit tree to store the data. So every time someone posts an order, all those get stored in this data structure, and this is a highly efficient tree data structure that is used to implement this type of exchange. This also has a custodian v2 module, which basically is the accounts for every individual. So if you create an account, you will have like a custodian account so that you can place limit orders and place in the buy or sell direction. And then of course there's like a math library that is also in this package to handle the different math operations within DeepBook. So, a good example of an order book is of an order book product built on top of DeepBook is this right here. This is Kriya Protocols UI UX for DeepBook. Because DeepBook is a fully on-chain system, there is actually no UI. A user can go buy and sell orders with a CLI, and that is like by entering commands that tell exactly what orders to purchase, but that's not really good to use. You would have to be pretty experienced in programming to understand how to use the CLI and the nuances of what you can pass in. Kriya helps us abstract this away by displaying the order book. You can see like the red are the sell orders available, and then the green is the buy orders available. And there's some different operations like market buying orders, which basically means you buy the first available order on the sell book, or like market selling orders, which basically means you sell to the first available buy orders on the buy book. And then, of course, you can also input limit orders to become a part of the order book as well. So this is an example of the type of products that Mysten is looking to support when we can build on top of DeepBook. Kriya is one of the first people or first protocols to do so. So one thing I want to go over is how does the DeepBook like really work in its underlying. Basically, there's an order book matching engine somewhere, but before we can use that order book, someone has to create an account, and we represent these accounts with custodian caps. So every user that comes on and uses DeepBook has to create a custodian cap, which basically is like a create account. And then on our Sui blockchain, we store sort of a table of your custodian cap, the address basically, and how much balances you have. These balances can be Sui, these balances can be USDC. It can actually be NFTs or like shares of an NFT if you want. DeepBook is a very generic product. So if you want to create anything, if you want to like use DeepBook to buy or sell anything using its order book properties, you can actually do so. But for now, we'll go through the simple example of just Sui and USDC. Let's pretend my address on Sui is AAA. When I create an account, that account address is not actually my own address. It is another object that is generated that gets owned by the AAA account. So let's say I create an address and I have ABCD, and then I deposit 5 Sui into that account, then the table would look something like shown on the left, where it's ABCD and then it maps to like 5 Sui. Note that something interesting about this is it's similar to Uniswap L3 V3 LP positions. So if I transferred my account cap to another address, let's say 0xBBBB, then the BBBB account would have access to my funds, and I would no longer have access to those funds. So be careful about who you transfer this account cap to. Like an example usage of this type of function is we can call like the place limit order on our SDK, and we only need to pass in the account cap and the pool that we're interested in trading on, plus some other variables like how much you want to buy, which side you are, whether you're buy and sell, the price you want to list it at, and a couple things. But we basically use this account cap to guarantee that the user does have the funds that they say they do. And in this way, you can't go and try to buy USDC without having Sui in your account, or vice versa. So I want to go into how do order books work in entirety. So an example of an order book, because the Korea image wasn't like too large, we can have some buy orders at a certain price, and then we have sell orders at a certain price. Note that the list of buy orders at this price, it is ordered in such a way that the highest amount is given priority. For example, this 42 cents, 22 thousandths or number is first because it is the greatest number, and then comes 0.4221 because that is a lower number. So in this way, the people who post the best offer gets filled first. So if someone wants to go buy, someone wants to go sell 15 Sui, they will fill the block of 5 Sui that's willing to buy, and then the block of 10 Sui that's willing to buy. If someone wants to sell 50, then they would fill the amount, the 5, 10, and then 35 units of the 125. And that would update our order book slightly. And then basically the same thing for the sell side. If someone wants to buy Sui, they would have to first buy through the 15 and then buy through the 200. And then as we go up, we can see that there's like a sell wall at like 45 cents or so. Basically, the order book matches the best offer available for the user. So like what happens if I place a market order to buy 15 Sui, we can kind of see that it clears the buy side orders. And then basically there's a math to like how much we pay. We would end up paying the multiple and that amount of USDC. Note that there's actually a small transaction fee on DeepBook of I think currently this pool is set to 15 basis points. So, or 25 basis points. So if you were to buy, you would be paying 0.25%. And you would receive slightly less than 15 SWE because you have to pay like some percentage fee to use DeepBook. And then I kind of want to walk over like what happens in like the data model for DeepBook. Originally, let's say I was trying to buy 15 SWE. So I have this amount in this account. And then as someone buys my SWE, I would get USDC here. And this is just kind of like changeover. There's like a base custodian and a quote custodian. This basically ensures that whenever you're placing an order, you have the assets, and DeepBook will check that the amount that you say that you have is in your account, and if you have an open order, it will not let you withdraw, to ensure that you're being genuine and not trying to get free money. So there's I want to go over now like a couple things in our SDK. It would be really cool to kind of like see this type of stuff. So, but basically like we can use our DeepBook client, and you can follow along in our code examples to create like different pools of assets. So in this example, we create pools on testnet so that we don't actually spend real money. But I was kind of thinking about a simple game that we could implement. So with a bunch of currencies and like an RPG. So in this case, like the base currency would be gold, and then there's like other things like fish, wood, and iron. And one can actually see like we don't have to use DeepBook for just like financial products that everyone has been thinking about. We can actually use DeepBook for some fun products and control like supply in a game or the economy of a game. Basically, like you could decrease the price of fish, make it easier for people to get fish, wood, or whatever resources. So this kind of CLI call would, this kind of SDK call would create the different pools that we want. And then like a user would have to create an account. So this is an example of creating an account. And let's say like this user wants to sell some fish, then they would grab their fish coin, and then deposit it into the DeepBook account first, into a custodian. And then we can kind of go through and see that they basically try to put on a limit order for this. I can show you in the code example later. And then we can kind of, we kind of also want to see like, we want to view our orders because we don't have like a UI implemented like Kriya. We actually have to just call the DeepBook module directly and then kind of pretty print the orders through like a console.log. And I think it would make more sense for me to share a screen here. I don't know how visible this is. So these are kind of the examples that I was talking about that hopefully will be visible for everyone. Basically, you can download, I actually left the private key for this address open, so someone, if they're curious, can go in and use this account and play with whatever they want, send themselves the wood assets and whatnot. I would go over in detail what these addresses are and how to publish and how to generate this, but I think that's out of scope of this discussion. But basically, the example GitHub also has instructions on how to publish these smart contracts or how to use them. So you can kind of generate your own examples on our testnet if you would like. So there's a bunch of these examples here. We can see that we can place a limit order here on our fish, and we can see that we place like an ask, and then we also place like a bid. So it means that we're trying to buy and sell fish at the same time, but we're trying to sell at like different prices. And then if we use our order book example and run our script, which basically pulls like the UI, we can actually see that the orders that I placed earlier show up on DeepBook, and there is some price that I'm willing to sell at and some price that I'm willing to buy at. I think this translates to 1 gold. So I'm willing to buy at 1 gold and sell a fish for 2 gold so that I can make some type of profit. Cheyenne, how do I get the slides to come up again? Oh, thank you. So basically, why would we use DeepBook? We kind of have created this order book functionality for everyone as a public good. So all these transactions are fully on chain and fully visible to any user. You can trust that like DeepBook itself will not go down and disappear with your funds. If you use any type of centralized exchange or centralized order book, let's say Binance or even Coinbase, as low risk as it is, like some event like FTX could happen where your funds just get completely compromised. But because DeepBook is built on Sui, it will basically never be taken over. Your account will never be frozen. Your assets will always be fully liquid. And I think that sense of security is why I personally have stuck to using only on-chain protocols at this point. And basically, like this type of security and this type of availability is a huge boon to using a decentralized exchange over any centralized exchange. Another reason that I kind of just went over is like, an on-chain game could build a system for their economy and kind of control the supply. They could release gold for free. They could release like any resource for free. They can kind of balance the economy by buying up resources. It's like pretty interesting. A lot of different things that you could do with it, and this is just like a toy idea. There's also the fact that impermanent loss on automatic market makers is pretty bad. If you go through the research of even during the entire bull run from 2019 to 2022, there are actually only 3 to 5 pools on Uniswap that were actually profitable if you were to do liquid staking on both sides. This is to mean that if you were to supply like Ethereum and USDC, you would still like lose money in the long run, even though you're generating so much fees. Although I think the ETH USDC pool is one of the ones that are profitable, and Bitcoin USDC were one of the ones that are profitable. But basically, within order book, because you have full control of placing the orders and providing the liquidity that you want, you won't get destroyed in a catastrophic market event where all of a sudden like people shift to buy one side. An example of this is the Iron Finance hack. People were providing liquidity on Iron and USDC, and in 5 minutes with no reaction, people's Iron became worthless because an automatic market maker and this type of pricing algorithm just lets market forces wreck the profits of the liquidity providers. And then some possible exchanges we have been talking to and looking for is potentially like game exchanges. So it would be really cool to build an entire game exchange on top of DeepBook where you can buy and sell various different assets. We are actually working on integrating with an NFT perpetual platform and also an NFT marketplace. They can basically wrap the NFT in shares, and you can kind of pass that in to the fields of DeepBook and trade NFT shares. Of course, perpetuals are often implemented on top of order books. This gets a little bit more complicated, but using the underlying order book infrastructure, you can kind of price perpetuals and have like a fully on-chain perpetual. You could also wrap real-world assets on the blockchain. Like if we ever get to that point, you could potentially just trade like a mere stock market. And there are plenty of other integrations that we probably haven't already thought of. And we hope that the watchers or viewers of this could come up with other things that they are interested in. And yeah, that is the end of my presentation on DeepBook.
All right, thank you so much, Jian. Do you have time for any Q&A? We can let the audience, bake a little and see if they have any questions. But if not, we can end it here.
Sure, yeah, I have time for Q&A.
Cool. So if you have any questions, please type them here. I see there's already a few comments, so yeah, we can just wait a little. But yeah, if that's it, then okay, yeah, I think we're good. So Jian, thank you so much for joining us. And
Right.
yeah, be sure to tune in this upcoming Thursday where we'll have a similar presentation, but this one will be on ZK login. So thank you, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.